What's up, guys? I'm Fabio Salas, and welcome to the Living Mad channel, where we talk all about the American dream. Today, I want to talk to you about careers and work. Most of us spend somewhere between 40, 60, sometimes 70, 80 hours at work every single week. That's a huge portion of your life spent at work. And unfortunately, a lot of us spend that time at work that we hate. We literally dread getting up in the morning, going to work. And as soon as we get to work, we can't wait for 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock to come so we can go home. When Monday comes around, we can't wait for Friday to come around so the weekend can start and we don't have to go to work anymore. And that's the life for a lot of people, and it's unfortunate. So I want to talk to you about that because it's important. You don't want to spend your whole life working in a job that you hate, that you dread, whatever it may be. So the first thing you got to do is you got to figure out, what is it that drives you? What is it that motivates you? What is it that makes you feel fulfilled? And is there a way for you to get paid doing that? Now, I get it. There's things out there that maybe you enjoy doing that don't necessarily get a good salary or get a good income. Maybe you want to be an artist. There's some artists out there that make a lot of money, but the majority of artists don't make a lot of money. So you got to decide for yourself. Are you willing to make the sacrifices to try to make that dream a reality? Or can you use your creativity, your art skills for something else? Maybe graphic design, working, drawing cartoons, I don't know, something that still has to do with art, but makes you some money. So you got to figure out, what is it that drives you, what is it that motivates you, and can it make you money? That's the first thing you got to figure out. The second thing you got to figure out is, what do you want the rest of your life to look like outside of work? Because here's the thing, you might be very focused on one specific career, doctor, lawyer, being an executive, but not really spend too much time thinking about your life outside of work. But the thing is, those two things, they combine, they cross. And if you don't get both of those right, you may figure out that the job that you so desperately wanted doesn't really give you the life that you want. Let's say, for example, you want to be a doctor. Maybe because you think doctors make a lot of money, or maybe because you think that helping people and saving lives is something that will fulfill you and make you happy. But then you become a doctor and you realize you're on call, you're working 60 hours a week, it's a stressful job, you've got $150,000 in student loans that it's going to take you years to dig out of, and you don't have the time, the energy, the capacity to spend as much time as you want with your family because your work is just draining you so much. So now you find yourself unhappy with your job. Not because it's not the job you wanted, but because your life outside of that job is not the life you wanted. So that's why you got to think about both. You can't just get focused on, what is the job that I want? What is the career that I want? But you got to think, how is that going to work? How is it going to mix with the rest of my life? Is it going to allow me time for family, if that's something that matters to you? Am I going to be able to travel, if that's something that matters to you? Am I going to have opportunities to move up, to get promoted, if that's important to you? Not everybody wants to get promoted. Not everybody wants to be the CEO. Not everybody wants to be the captain of a ship. And that's okay. You don't have to be. But you got to figure out, where do you want to be at work? Where do you want to be in life? And how can we combine those two to meet somewhere in the middle? And that's the other thing. You got to figure out, can we meet in the middle? Because sometimes you got to make sacrifices. Work is almost like a relationship. And you got to make sacrifices in any relationship, no matter what. Sometimes you got to make sacrifices. Work is the same way. You might find that you don't want to work 60 hours a week. But to get promoted, that's what's required. So you got to make a compromise. Either don't go after that promotion, or give up a few things in your personal life, in your personal time, so you can work those hours and get that promotion. So there's a lot of things you got to think about that combine the two. A lot of people don't realize this. They don't think about it. Especially when we go to college, everybody's always asking, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? We start asking kids when they're 5, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? But it's not about just what do you want to be. It's about, what do you want your life to be? What do you want your life to look like? Your family life, your friends, your social life. And how does that combine with your work life? Because you can't have one and not have the other. Now, some people do. They're workaholics. And maybe that's you, and that's fine if that's what fits your needs, if that's what makes you feel happy and complete. But not everybody's like that. Not everybody wants to spend all their time at work. So you got to make sure, think about the two, combine the two. Now I'll give you a few little quick tips to hopefully help you figure all this out. There's personality tests out there. There's counselors you can talk to. Reach out to people in the profession that you're interested in and ask them, what is your average day like? What time do you go to work? What time do you get off work? How much time do you get off per year? Just reach out to people in the industry and figure out what's it like. Because maybe what you see on TV, maybe what you read in the books isn't reality. So you got to talk to people in the industry. The other thing I want you to think about is, what is it going to take to get that dream job that you want? If you want to be a doctor, you got to go to medical school. If you want to be a lawyer, you got to go to law school. But what if you want to start your own business? Should you go to college and get an MBA? Because that's what most people will tell you. You need an MBA if you want to be a businessman. And it's true. If you go to law school and you get an MBA, you will learn a lot of things about business. But I can also tell you there's a lot of businessmen out there, businessmen, businesswomen out there that have very successful businesses who never went to college for anything. So that's what you got to keep in mind. And this is a little bit of a controversial advice, I guess, or opinion. I know a lot of people preach education, 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 and I'm all about education. I went to college. I teach at a college right now. I tell my son all the time, education, education, education. But you got to figure out for yourself, what does that mean? Because education is not always college. If your job does not specifically require you to go to college, why go to college? That said, you still need the education piece, so you got to figure out what are the things that I need to know to be successful in the career field that I'm choosing for myself, and then learn those things. In today's world, it's so easy to learn things outside of college. You got the internet, you got YouTube, so many resources out there. You can reach out to people in the industry. Whatever field you want to work in, reach out to people in that field. Talk to them. You can call them, you can FaceTime them. All kinds of ways to talk to people nowadays. So you don't have to necessarily go to college to be successful. A lot of jobs still require it, but not every single job. So you got to figure out what are the steps that I need to take to get to my dream job. Some of them, it might take a while. Say you want to start flipping houses and you don't know a single thing about fixing a house. Well, it's going to take you some time to learn how to work foundations, how to do piping, how to do the electrical. And maybe you don't want to do all those parts, but you got to figure out what are the things you want to learn if you want to start flipping houses. Maybe you want to hire it all up and just be the person overseeing it all. Whatever the case may be, you've got to learn the steps, the process required for that field. And it may take you years. I knew I wanted to be a Marine officer since I was in high school. I didn't become a Marine officer until I was 32 years old. So it took me a while. Enlisted at 19, took me 12 years, almost 13, before I commissioned. But I got there. I knew what I needed to do, and I took the steps. Deployments, other things slowed me down along the way. As soon as I got back from deployment, I got back in the process. So there may be things in your life that slow you down. You're not in the military, or if you are, maybe it's the same thing, but if you're not in the military, sure, you don't deploy. So that doesn't slow you down, but something will slow you down. Something will get in your way and will try to keep you from reaching or attaining the career that you want. But that's okay, that's life, that's normal. You can't let that stuff stop you. You deal with that obstacle, you overcome it, and then you continue where you left off. Whether it's college, education, learning a trade, on-the-job training, whatever the case may be, you continue the process until you get where you want to be. Because just like anything else, getting the job that you want, it's not just going to be handed to you. You don't just graduate high school or just step out into the workforce and all of a sudden you get the job that you want. No, you got to work for it. There may be some lucky people out there who their jobs are handed to them. That's not the case for most of us. Most of us got to work for it. You need to understand that. All right, guys, that's all from me today. If you enjoyed this content, if you want some more, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, keep living that life, and I'll see you in the next video.